each boiler, they're just on the same side with the power disconnect, okay?
Understood, yep.
So keep in mind, in auto position, it's going to take whatever command the BMS is sending it. If you put it in open, you're shutting the boiler down, and if you put it in closed, it allows the boiler to, it just bypasses what the BMS is sending and sends the command into this. And then the boiler is going to operate off of whatever settings it has. I have no control of this boiler. The only control the BMS has of any of these boilers is whether or not we're telling the boiler to run or we're telling it to be off. That is it.
That's it.
Okay? When you look at this relay, if this light is on, we're telling it to run. Okay? But again, if I come over here and I put that switch in open, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You bypass what this relay is designed to do, and now the boiler's not going to run.
If somebody hits that by mistake or something like that.
Yeah. Okay? So if you got nothing coming over, my biggest thing, as I told you guys, I want you to have a building automation system. We want everything in auto. You guys got a building to operate, I get it. Do what you got to do. Okay? But these should always be in auto. That's my opinion. Okay? If you need to shut a boiler down because you need to service it or whatever, your best thing, always come over here, just kill the power. Don't worry about the BMS. Like, just take the BMS all out by killing the power. Okay? You get a boiler operator in here. Sometimes they'll come in here and they'll flip this over to close because they want it to run. They want it to run as if it was an auto and stuff like that. They may forget to put this back, and you're finding that this boiler is running when it's not supposed to be. That's the first thing to check. Okay? Happens all the time. Guys forget to put things back.
We'll put it on it,
Okay? Guys forget to, put these back in auto all the time. It is what it is. I forget to put things back in auto, and I'm the guy who operates these things every day, okay? So just always make sure that's the first thing I would check, it's in auto, okay? I'm gonna turn this back on. We'll let this thing go.
No, leave it alone.
It's in auto. It's okay.
Auto's down.
It's just, these are
This is the other way around.
switched, yeah.
We're gonna put labels on it.
All right.
It's going to say quick card from that card.
Now you guys have a different BMS system here, okay? I've already spoke with the BMS guy the last time I was here. I said, hey, we've got graphics in here. He's like, oh, you got graphics? I said, yeah. I don't know why he didn't look for that. There's two graphics. He should be copying both of these graphics because the way I set this graphic up is the exact same way I would do it for any customer, okay? And it has all of the pertinent information that you guys need to have in order to operate this system, okay? So, going out to the field, we have, the zone valves. I have no control of that. That is through the other BMS system. You have boiler 2, which is the big guy behind you. It's listed as boiler 1A, 1B, and 1C. Just equivalent that to 1, 2, and 3, okay? All right. Now, 1, 2, and 3, we have the ability to operate and control. Boiler 2, we only get status, okay? The reason we need status for that is to turn on that combustion air fan that's over there, okay? If boiler 2 turns on, that fan gets turned on, okay? Otherwise, what happens is we have to turn that fan on, wait for status, and at least the fact that the outside air damper is open, and then we'll enable those boilers over there. Yes?
So, in case they want to run the boilers into the manual mode, we wanted an override button so that we could still run the fan and then run them into the manual
You could
mode.
still override the fan command on and everything else like that, but at that point, if you're going to turn these boilers on manually from here or from over there, you are now putting the whole system to manual mode, and you need to operate things as if you were in manual mode, okay? But keep in mind, if you turn on one boiler but you need 2 and you've overridden this fan on, well, this fan's only going to run where you want it. Okay, so what we've done is basically, you've got 4 boilers. That fan runs at 4 different positions, 25%, 50, 75, and 100.
Yeah, we noticed that.
Okay, so it just speeds up, and that's just how we run it. That's the best way to take control of that. So if you want to run and you're going to have 2 boilers running and you've overridden that fan, well, you need to come back here and override it to 50%. Okay, this is where I'm saying when you guys take things and you put them into manual mode, you start to break everything else because you're taking it out of its normal sequence, okay? If you're gonna put it in manual, you're taking control of the whole plant, okay? Does that make sense?
And on your computer, you could override.
Yeah, so we can override things. So for instance, if I come over here, you guys have operated your BMS system before, right? I know they're operating on the same platform, so you guys know how to right click. You guys got auto and override, things like that, right? Okay, so auto releases it, override goes in, you can do a timed override, whatever be the case, and then put it in, it should change color, yes.
So the automation guy, the EcoSave automation guy should take all this and they should have they should see that on
It
the
should be in the
computer?
other system. He should take anything that I've got here for a graphic. There's 2 graphics. He needs to take exactly what I have here, replicate it over there,
Transfer it.
and then we're done.
From that computer, will they be able to override
It's no
the
different than
fan?
what I've got here. Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so they should be able
Unless
to
he takes it away from them.
Okay.
Okay, there's no reason why they shouldn't, because whatever I have set up should be set up over there, and if for some reason they can't override something over there, then it's a problem on that side, because if I can override it right here, right now, then these guys should be able to do it as well.
Okay.
Okay? Now, next thing we have the 5 feed pumps, which are all over here.
Yep.
Just like you see pumps 1 through 5 over there, is exactly how they show up here as pumps 1 through 5. Okay? Makes sense? Okay. Next thing, you have a system enable point. This system enable point is master system enable. If you put that to shut down, you're shutting down everything. Nothing will operate. Okay? Doesn't mean that this boiler won't operate, but it shuts down the operation of the other 3 boilers. Okay? Because this is manual switch here. All right? The second graphic that we have is a parameter screen graphic. Actually, I have it open on the second tab. Okay. So, this gives us a little bit more ideas how we're controlling. Okay, the other one just shows you what's happening. This one gives you an idea of how we're controlling. Okay, so system enable. We are going to enable if the outside air drops below 55 degrees. We automatically go enable. Okay, pretty reasonable. Okay, 55 degrees is pretty standard. You know, sometimes you'll see 60, sometimes, very rarely we see 50, but 55 is pretty standard. Okay. If you guys, you know, are bound by something with the state or whatever, just due to funding, and you guys you can't go, I would say take that, just lower that all the way down, or you should be able to hit this system enable point here, and you can just go override disable to keep the system locked out if you can't start your boilers before a certain date, or you need to shut them down by a certain date,
Okay.
kind of thing. You can just hit that master system enable, override that, and then you don't have to worry about the outside air. It will shut these boilers down altogether.
Okay.
Okay. But then obviously if you were to run this, your fan will still run. You can come in here, you can override this set point. This is just a single set command. You guys understand the difference between set, auto, and override? Okay, set stays forever. Okay. And then you have the effective enable. So you got to be enabled plus this, and then you get the effective enabled, and that tells you that you're enabled or disabled. All right, so over here we have the boiler pressure, then we have the boiler pressure set point. So right now we're set for 3 pounds. Okay. Next, lead boiler.
I do have a question.
Yes.
By 3 pounds mean all the 3 boilers will
Let
run
me
lower
stop
to
right there. I'm going to explain everything, how this all stages. It'll answer all your questions. Okay. So 3 pound set point. That's what we want at the pressure on the header. That sensor is sitting right up there. Okay. Now, 3 pounds is where we want to be roughly, but there's a differential on how we have to operate the boilers. So you're going to see us go below 3. You're going to see us go above 3, but the average is supposed to be around 3. All right. Now, lead boiler set point dead band. Okay, 1 pound. Okay, you have the ability to adjust this right here if you want, but it's a 1 pound differential. Okay, so lead boiler is going to kick on when we hit 2 pounds. It's going to kick off when we hit 4 pounds. That makes sense.
Could you say it again?
Lead boiler is going to kick off. It's a 1 pound differential. So we above plus minus 1. So we hit 2 pounds, lead boiler comes on. We hit 4 pounds, lead boiler goes off. That's why I need his pressure to be allowed to go higher than 3 pounds. Okay, on the boilers themselves. So basically, we want to be able to just turn the boilers off, and then whatever the boilers have is sort of like a high limit, just to prevent them from going too high. Okay. But again, I also need it to be that if you guys say, hey, it's really, really cold, we need to go to 4 pounds, I need to be able to hit 4 pounds, okay? Now, if I hit 4 pounds and he's only set for 4, well, we're just gonna turn on, we're always gonna be sitting at 4, and we're gonna be firing all 3 boilers to maintain 4. But if we need all 3 boilers to maintain 4, you're using a lot of steam out there, okay? That makes sense. Now, next thing is, so we go down 1 pound below, we turn on our lead boiler. We're starting to come up. If the lead boiler is, or if the steam pressure is off by a ½ pound or more for 20 minutes, we're gonna kick on the second boiler. Okay? As soon as we go a ½ pound over set point, so again, right now we're at 3 pounds. So if we hit 3.5 pounds, as soon as we hit 3.5 pounds, we're gonna turn off that second stage. That makes sense. Okay? Now, Third boiler, lag boiler, stage 3. If we are a half pound or more under set point for 40 minutes, so if we're at 2.5 pounds or less for 40 minutes from the time that we've turned everything on, we're gonna kick on stage 3. Okay, but stage 3 is gonna turn off the moment we get to 3.2 pounds because it's a 0.2 differential on that. Okay, so if you set it for 4, you're gonna add all these values plus minus that from 4 pounds, or if we're at 2 pounds plus minus that from 2 pounds. So all that makes sense, right?
Yep.
So it's just a time base though as to what we've got to wait. So we don't want boiler 3 kicking on right away. We want to give time for boiler 1 to fire for a little while, then we want to give time for boiler 2 to fire for a little while, and then we'll finally kick on boiler 3. Now if we
Do you have
still
questions about the sequence?
That's up to him.
Yeah, that's up to me.
No, my basic is because I had a discussion with him and the heat exchanger loop was not.
Well, that's because we
operating.
never got the pressure running too.
So my first step is to make sure that we get the pressure at the heat exchanger. Once we get that and once we satisfy the spool, the next step for me would be to optimize it. So I will have discussions with you, but we need to make sure if this sequence does not work, I will have to work with him to just make sure about the operating point.
No, I want to try it.
Yeah, we haven't used it yet.
Yeah, we haven't used it yet.
They were not.
No, I do agree with you that we need to try this. If it does not work, I will have to go back to him. Or else I will go back to him.
A little more water in that heat.
When we were using them, they kept shutting off. We were talking about the
Because
water.
I was monitoring the operating pressure for those ones and for this one. It was maintaining the pressure.
Yeah.
But
It wasn't. Not compared to this one. I took a log the other day when this one was running. This one stays consistent. If you average out
Did
the
you have
window
the
when
pressure?
running, it kept dropping.
Okay, let's try it.
But yeah, we haven't used it.
okay.
Got it.
Yeah, so, but again, we also have to make sure that his set point on the boilers is set high enough that we can allow this all to operate, because as he approaches set point, he starts to throttle it back, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that may cause us to inadvertently fire an additional boiler on to get up the pressure, but then if all of his boilers are set for 3 pounds and I'm trying to get to 3, but I need to be above 3 to turn off, I'm never going to turn off. We're just going to be running 3 boilers at 3 pounds at low fire, which is a waste of energy. Okay, so we have to be able to get up to, I would say max right now. If we're going to say 3 is the maximum we're going to go to, I need him to be able to go to 4.5 reasonably, so that I can get to a point where I can stage things off. Okay, because I need to be able to get to 4 pounds just to be able to shut the lead boiler off.
by the 3 stages, you mean the first boiler, the second boiler, and the third boiler?
Yeah, so but that staging, so that's the last part of all this. Every 24 hours, so right now it's roughly about 8 a.m. Every day at 8 a.m. we change which boilers lead.
Okay.
That way you don't end up with a boiler waterlogging, So, we want to make sure we're able to force that water out. It doesn't condensate and sit in the boiler. That's a whole other thing that you can discuss with him if you end up with a waterlogged boiler and stuff like that. But we change it every 24 hours. If for some reason we're having a problem, we can change that time frame. We've even gotten as far as making it that we change the lead. Every single time the lead boiler turns on and then it turns off, we change the lead. And then, so you're going to go from boiler 1 to boiler 2, from boiler 2 to boiler 3, from boiler 3 back to boiler 1. And it'll just constantly rotate every single time. That's a lot of logic for us to create. Typically we do every 24 hours because it gives proper runtime for everything. Everything's going to work just fine.
How do you decide that it has to be 4 psi? How do you decide that it has to be?
It's just a generic. It's just a generic set point. I mean, I've seen buildings run on just a straight 3 psi constantly. I've seen some buildings do a outside air reset on the pressure, so maybe we run 2 pounds when we're like 55, 60 degrees outside, and we run 5 or 6 pounds when we go to like 30 degrees outside.
But you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. This maintains about 2 psi.
2.5.
2 to 2.
3.5, 2.5.
Because I have never seen this at
It doesn't.
no.
It doesn't go up to 2.
I have seen at 2.
It should be set for 2. But,
So we'll see. The only
we
difference is
we
those-
adjusted it.
Yeah.
We used to be set for 3. I always maintain 3 pounds.
Yeah, no. So the first step is we'll see how this works and if it's getting too hot for the spool. If it is not getting, then we'll just keep it the same or we'll work around it. But yeah,
It's not getting hot in the school. It's getting hot in the boiler. Though.
No, I know that.
It's hot in here.
Yeah. So,
Listen, it's like,
so that's how we operate on this. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So, next thing we have is the vent fan control. So as soon as this boiler system, as soon as we get ready to fire a boiler, we have to turn these fans on. Okay, well, we're talking about these. If this turns on, that fan automatically comes on, but it comes off. It comes on after the fact, okay? Because we have no tie into this boiler. So if we're running one boiler, 25%, we're running two boilers, 50%, 75, 100%, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Does that make sense? Okay, so if you're running all 4 boilers, we run that at 100%.
So
Wait.
So,
That's a
so
mistake.
That's not going to happen.
because this boiler should never run when those 3 boilers are on.
Yep.
That's entirely, that I don't care about that.
Yeah.
All I know is that if I have 4 boilers running for any reason, we're going to fire that at 100%.
Yeah.
So the way it
Just
works.
from what I understand, and that's wrong on your end, it's supposed to be 1/3, 2/3, 100% in those 3 boilers.
Okay.
So that's the way it's supposed to run.
So then where would I run this
And then
if
if this goes on, those automatically shut down. They cannot be on simultaneously, and the fan goes on 100%.
okay, I don't think that was anywhere in the sequence, so that's a,
100%. That's the way
okay.
it is.
All right, we would have to revisit that and go from there. I mean, we're,
It kind of makes sense though if we were going to use this.
that you wouldn't be running those.
Run those.
Right.
Run those.
I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Make sure you.
I get it, but that's just, it wasn't, I don't think I saw that in the sequence. I mean,
So I gave you the picture of that, but that's fine. And
Okay.
I'm on same page with,
Yeah.
with Gordon that that should be 1/3, 2/3, 3/3,
And this is
so, but if you're
100%.
ever turning this one on, you know, we should be manually switching all those off or shutting down that particular system.
Well, according
You
to
know.
the BMS, if this goes on, none of those are supposed to go on at all. And the reason is because the flue cannot handle it.
Yeah.
Okay. So we could put in a lockout for that,
Yeah.
you know.
We
And-
shouldn't be able to use both of them simultaneously.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Because if this happens to go on for some reason, none of those can be on
Should be
at all.
operational.
Okay.
It's supposed to be locked out. And the fan's supposed to go on to 100%.
Okay.
And if any of those units are on, 1, 2, or 3, it goes 1/3, 2/3, 100%.
100%.
Okay. So it's not a hard modification, but it's going to take a little time.
All right.
So-
just bring that up.
Okay. So
That is
I'll
the
talk it
truth.
over with Bill and see how he wants to handle
Yeah.
it and go from there. So,
Alright.
but right now, that's just how the logic works. If that's going to be the change, then this will go to 100% for boiler 2, and I'll give you a separate point for boiler 2 fan speed, and then we'll go 1/3, 2/3, 100% for the fan speed for those 3 boilers.
Alright.
Okay.
Now,
The
let me
last
ask
thing
you a
is,
question- let me ask you a question on that. You have to come back here and you do it remotely.
I don't think we can do it remotely because I don't think we have the VPN access for it.
And you get that.
I'm working on it.
All right. If you could get that, then he doesn't have to come in.
Yep.
You
My
could do it remotely.
my only worry is even if he gets the VPN access, he won't be able to see this because that's not pulled in, or else he might be
Well,
able to
if
see
this
it
is on the
and
school's network, the school should be able to work whatever
Yeah,
IT
I
magic
know
that
that.
they have to give me VPN
That's the
access.
reason
so I
I
can access
wanted
my
him
people.
also in the meeting. He did show. He did come for the meeting, but I'll work with him
Okay.
to make sure that they do
Yeah.
get the graphics.
VPN access,
it's
to be able to actually access this controller
They're on
would be
the
100% ideal because a lot of times we can alleviate 90% of problems just by accessing
Because they
this.
need access to it
Yeah.
in order to run it.